Using statistics in research. In this video, you can understand how to use statistic in business problems, the basic concepts in statistics, population, sample, parameters and statistic, definition of variables and types of variables, the different scale of measurement. First, we will see how the statistics are used in research. You can understand how the statistics are used in research and decisions in organizations in different examples. Example 1, Good Day, a privately held online retailer of food and groceries, seeks to expand its business by opening several stores. To get the financing necessary to underwrite this expansion, Good Day needs to apply for a loan at local bank. Bank manager requests to make a presentation on the performance of bank. The managers of the firm agree to develop an electronic slideshow that will explain their business status, the facts that will convince the bankers to loan Good Day the money it needs. If you have been asked to assist this process of preparing the slideshow, what facts would you include? How would you present those facts? Example 2, a company needs to take a decision on whether to introduce a new product into the market or not. Example 3, a bank that has been steadily losing customers in the light of intense competition wants to investigate the reasons for the loss of customers on the account of the bank. Example 4, to fulfill the requirement of the degree, you have to do a research in your second semester in the objective. You have to present your data and analyze it, and also you have to make conclusion on it. How can you do that? Can you make the right decision in example 1, example 2, example 3 and example 4? The minimum risk without the help of statistic. The answer is no. Without the help of statistic or without the knowledge of statistic, you can't make the correct decision on the mentioned different examples in this lesson. Therefore, to make a better decision, to make an effective decisions, you should have a knowledge on statistics. So therefore, we will see different concepts and terms in statistics which are used in research to make a good decisions as a conclusions. The basic concepts of statistics. Variables. Variables are characteristic of items or individuals. For example, age, gender, name, satisfaction, salary. There are different variables. For a research, you have to collect the data on different variables. Based on those data, you can analyze the variables and then you can conclude it. This variable can be divided into mainly two categories. One is categorical variables and the other one is numerical variable. Then numerical variable also further can be divided into discrete variable and continuous variable. Categorical variable. So categorical variables mean the variables are categorized in different types. For example, there are 3 questions given here. Do you currently own any vehicle? That's a question that you are going to get the answer for the question. Do you currently own any vehicle? The answer may be just or no. There are 2 categories. Then the second question is, are you likely to buy additional merchandise through online in the next 12 months? Or maybe the answer is yes or no. There are 2 different categories for the answer. Then which day of the week are you most likely to eat dinner in a restaurant? The answer may be different 7 answers. For example, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. The answer may be Tuesday or maybe Wednesday or Friday. So the answers are divided into 7. That there are 7 type of answers. Then the customer may give you the answer as one type or one category. Then another example you can say I'm married. Then the answer may be yes or no. Or maybe what is your marital status? The answer may be married or single. There are 2 categories. And what is your gender? The answer may be male or female. There are 2 categories are divided in the variables. So these are the categorical variables. Then the numerical variables. Numerical variables are in numbers. For example, your height in inches. And how much money you expect to spend on food in the next 12 months, then the answer may be in money. That means currency, how much? But the rupees, maybe 10,000, 100,000, how much money you are going to spend for your food requirements in the next 12 months. Then the answer may be in a numerical terms. How many children do you have? For example, the answer may be 2 or 3. Then how many magazines you currently subscribe? Or maybe the answer 7 or 3 or 6. The answers are numerical in form. These numerical variables also can be further divided into discrete numerical and continuous numerical. Here the discrete numerical variables are in full numbers. For example, do you have children? For that question, the answer will be in full numbers. For example, two children or 3 children. Answers in full numbers. But for the question, for example, what is your salary? The answer may be 25,652.12. That's 0.12, like that, continuous variables. Continuous numerical variable, not in full number, it's in decimal numbers, that is continuous numerical variable. Population. A population consists of all the members of a group about which you want to draw a conclusion. So if I want to identify the satisfaction level of the students of a particular class, if the class has 100 students, the population is 100 students. The population consists of all the elements where we are going to collect the data, or from which respondents we are going to collect the data. It consists of whole numbers, whole members in a group. Sample is a portion of the population selected for the analysis. For example, in my classroom there are 100 students learning a particular subject. If I want to identify the satisfaction of students on my teaching methods, I can select a portion of the students. That if there are 100 students in the classroom, I can select 25 students as a portion and I can collect the data from that 25 students. So that selected number of students is called as sample. Parameter. Parameter is a numerical measure that describes a characteristic of a population. So for example, in my classroom there are 100 students. The average marks of these 100 students is called as a parameter. That marks of all the 100 students will be added and then the total will be divided by 100. Then the average is the parameter, that it describes the population, which describes the population. That means the average marks describes the total number of students in the classroom. Statistic. A statistic is a numerical measure that describes a characteristic of a sample. For example, in my classroom there are 100 students learning a particular subject, but I have selected 25 students and I have entered the marks of those 25 students and calculate the average of those 25 students. That is called statistic. Marks of those 25 students will be added. Then the total marks of 25 students will be divided by 25. Then the average marks is called as statistic. It describes the sample, characteristic of a sample. Okay, then we will learn how these data collections helps a researcher to understand or make conclusion about a problem to make a correct decisions. For example, a marketing research analyst needs to assess the effectiveness of a new television advertisement, whether the advertisement is working to make or to improve the sales of a particular product. A pharmaceutical manager needs to determine whether a new drug is more effective than those currently in use. So this pharmaceutical company has introduced a new drug. So they are going to make conclusion about this new drug, whether the new drug is working compared with the previous one. An operations manager wants to monitor a manufacturing process to find out whether the quality of a product is conforming to company standard. There are some standards required or decided by the company, maybe the height, weight, diameters, contents. According to that confirmation, the operational manager can confirm whether the requirements are fulfilled by the products produced by the company. An auditor wants to review the financial transaction of a company in order to determine whether or not the company is in compliance with generally accepted accounting principle. There are accounting principles to guide the financial statements and financial transaction of the company. So the auditor can check whether the company's activities and company's transactions are compliant with the accepted standard. Another example, a potential investor wants to determine which industries are likely to have accelerated growth in the period of economic recovery. The investor can decide which company is best and which company has the returns based on the collected data. Here, the different mentioned purposes, data is important. Collecting data, the analyst or the researcher can make the correct decision based on the statistics. So how these data can be collected? So important sources of data, the data can be collected from the organization, that data distributed by an organization or an individual, already published data in an organization or an individual, or maybe a designed experiments. Through the experiments with a control group, the researcher can collect the data. A survey or maybe an observational study, the data can be collected. The collected data sources, mainly these data sources can be divided as primary data sources and secondary data sources. Here the primary data sources means the researcher collects the data as a first hand or fresh data to make conclusions on the problems, on the issues identified in the organization. Secondary data are already published in organizations, researcher or analyst. So they can collect the data from these published sources and use those data for the purpose of making conclusion. Data are very important for making decisions in research. This data can be measured in different scales. There are 4 different types of data measurement scales: nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and ratio scale. Nominal data. Nominal data are the weakest of all data measurements. Numbers are used to label an item or characteristics. So the main purpose of this scale is to categorize the data. For example, a university may designate a subject specialization with the numbers. For example, COM 4135, MKG 2131, your telephone number, your identity card number, those are nominal data. Purpose of this scale is to just designate or label the data. Another example is various brands of toothpaste. It's a name. The data measured in nominal scale cannot be manipulated in numerical fashions. Those are in categorical type. Only counting the number of occurrences, frequencies, is possible with nominal data. You can't do all the mathematical calculations from this nominal data. Just you can count and write how many male are there, how many females are there. Just you can count and write. Ordinal scale. Ordinal or rank data are numbers used to rank objects or attributes. Customers' preference for different brands of toothpaste is a good example. If there are 5 leading brands in the market and the ranking provided by one customer is as given here, that brand 3 is ranked as number 1, brand 4 is ranked as number 2, brand 1 is ranked as number 3, and brand 2 is ranked as number 4, and brand 5 is ranked as number 5. So how the consumers ranked the brand as their preferences? It's an order. Simple arithmetic operations are not possible for these ordinal data. Ordinal data can also be verbalized on the continuum like excellent, good, fair, and poor. In ordinal data, distance between objects or ranks cannot be measured. Interval data. Interval data are data with ordinal properties. The data can be used to measure the distance between objects or ranks. Interval data are superior to ordinal data because decision makers can measure the distance between 2 observations. Example, distances between objects can be measured. For example, frozen food distributors are concerned with temperature. which is an interval measurements. The important point is here when we compare the ratio data with the interval data. Here the interval data have an arbitrary 0 point. The researcher can give the value to the 0. Here the basic arithmetic operations are possible with interval data. Ratio data. Ratio data is the highest level of measurement. All basic arithmetic operations, including division and multiplication, can be done. The difference between interval data and ratio data, here the 0 takes the real value. In the interval data, the researcher gives the value to the 0, but here the 0 takes the real value. For example, what is your salary? If the answer is 0, that means 0, no salary. For example, this ratio data, business data such as cost, revenue, market share and profit. In this video lesson, you have learned the uses of statistics in business problems and the basic concepts in statistics: population, sample, parameters and statistics, variables, meaning of variable and type of variables, and application of variables in the research, and the different scale of measurement. Thank you.